Nick Walker, I have to say, definitely shut a lot of people up. He definitely shut me up. I really didn't think it was going to be close at all for first. I actually, if I look back, I predicted Nick getting in third, and I actually had Martin Fitzwater beating him, but Martin Fitzwater came really off, and Nick was on. What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're diving in to the Pittsburgh Pro because people are saying Nick Walker was robbed of at the Pittsburgh Pro, and so today we're going to be diving into that. It was obvious who it was really between. It was definitely between Derek Lunsford and Nick Walker, but people are saying Nick should have won, so let's get right into it.
For Nick either way. This was a hell of a comeback for Nick. He looked incredible here. The size that he had was just so overwhelming. And he was on. His conditioning was good. He had good midsection control. He looked way better, in my opinion, than the last time that we saw him on stage.
Nick Walker, I have to say, definitely shut a lot of people up. He definitely shut me up. I really didn't think it was going to be close at all for first. I actually, if I look back, I predicted Nick getting in third, and I actually had Martin Fitzwater beating him, but Martin Fitzwater came really off, and Nick was on. We obviously haven't seen him compete in a really long time, but he freaking brought it, especially, I'm going to say, from the rear. If you look at Nick and Derek posing from the rear, I'm gonna say anyway that I think that Nick actually beat Derek Lunsford in both of the back poses. And when I first saw them going out, I didn't watch the show live, but I was seeing pictures on Instagram and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, Derek Lunsford got it. I wasn't really looking too hard at it, but now looking back at the photos of all the different poses, it was a lot closer than I thought. Nick was definitely on. Specifically, if we look at the back, so I still think that Derek Lunsford has a better back. His back is still better than Nick's. But if we look at the lower portion, specifically the hamstrings, I do think Nick is really edging him out in the hamstrings anyway. So I would actually give both the back poses to Nick, which is shocking because normally for Derek, the back poses, it's normally lights out for him there. But in this case, it really wasn't. Now, in the front double bicep, a lot of people, are saying Nick won this pose. But I personally have to disagree. I do think that Derek Lunsford is taking the front double bicep. And no, Derek's arms anyway are nowhere near as good as Nick's. But just look at the waist, the X frame. Nick really lacks those aesthetics from the front anyway. From the rear, I think his aesthetics are actually really good, and he has a small waist from the rear, and that's also why I think, he kind of beat Derek from the back, which is, again, surprising. But from the front, I just can't give it to Nick. I know a lot of people do. Again, the quads for him are a weakness, but it's also a weakness on Derek. So that kind of balances out. And Nick has better arms and stuff, but I think Derek's lats flare out more, and he has a smaller waist. So I'm giving the front double bicep to Derek. And I would also give the front lat spread to Derek. Again, for that similar reason, the wider shoulders, smaller waist. I think the conditioning was pretty close, but I think maybe Nick had slightly more conditioning but again, gotta give the two front poses to Nick. So right now I have it at 2-2. Now I'm gonna be moving to the side poses. So first up, we got the side chest. Now, what I like from Derek here in comparison to Nick is His waist is so much smaller. It's a more aesthetic frame. And I also do like the side of his leg more. Now I will say I do think Nick Walker's side leg has just has more mass. It's bigger. But I like the way Derek's looks more. He's got really deep cuts in the side, and I do think Nick is maybe a little bit leaner on the side. I think Derek, anyway, in this competition, I don't think Derek was not at his best. If Derek showed up how he did at the Arnold Classic, I do think he would have beat Nick pretty well. But I think, anyway, that his legs were a little bit smaller in this show, not as full, and he didn't have as much conditioning. So, personally, side chest, I could see this going either way. I can see some people saying they like the small aesthetic waist of Derek, or some people saying they like the size and more conditioned, probably Nick Walker. So, I don't know. This one's really close, and I'd also have to say the same thing for the side tricep. It is close. Honestly, I could see both of these poses going either way. So let's give it a point for each. So let's say 3-3. And in the abs and thighs, we got next. I think Derek is winning this pose. I think his abs are more aesthetic. He has the smaller waist. The quads, anyway, are both a weakness for Nick and for Derek. So that kind of balances out. Derek's got wider lats. So I think, anyway, Derek wins the abs and thigh. Most musculars last. And this is Derek's weakest pose. Not shocking. I don't know. He just really lacks the conditioning in the chest in this pose. So, gotta give this one to Nick Walker. But that means, anyway, it was 4-4. So, 4 poses to 4, in my opinion. That's the score I would give it. I think the side poses could go either way, so I just gave them a point for each. It was a very close competition, and I know a lot of people think Nick Walker should have won. And if we look at the scorecards, it was literally a tie. Derek was losing at prejudging, but then he won in the finals. So it went 8 for Derek in prejudging and 7 for Nick in prejudging, and then it went the other way around at finals. So it was literally a tie, 15-15. And I'm also getting this footage from Nick Strength and Power. Go check out his original videos where he breaks down the whole thing. So this shit was super damn close. So people are like, oh, you know, Nick Walker got robbed. No, it's not robbery when it's this freaking close. Yes, I do think Nick was a little bit more conditioned and for the most part had more size in the hamstrings anyway, the arms, but there's 3 S's to bodybuilding. There's shape, size, and shreds. And Nick doesn't have the shape. If Nick Walker's waist was as small as Derek's, it wouldn't even be close. But on this day, Derek took out the dub. If you replace one of those judges with somebody else, then it could have easily gone the other way. And if you're asking me who I think should have won, I'm going to go with Derek Lunsford. And I know a lot of people are like, no, Nick should have won. But guess what? It's subjective, and that's okay. Clearly, half of the judges thought Derek should have won, and half thought Nick should have won, because it was literally a tie. Now, I don't know how they go about breaking the tie. Maybe I don't actually know, so I don't really want to speak on it. Maybe it was because Derek was like the favorite. He won the Arnold Classic, and Nick hasn't competed in a long time. But this was really close, so we can't count out Nick Walker for the future. I doubted Nick Walker. He hasn't competed in a long time, but I'm not even the biggest fan of his physique because I like the aesthetics, but I can't sit here and lie to myself and say he didn't bring an amazing package, and he could actually challenge for the Olympia title. I mean, it could literally be a 4-way Olympia battle between Nick Walker, Derek Lunsford, Heidi Chopin, and Samson Dota. This shit is unreal. So Nick Walker definitely shut me up. He shut a lot of people up with this. He's definitely back in the game. Now, I do think if Derek was at his best, I don't think it would have been this close, but what you bring is what you bring, and Derek was not at his best, so he left the door open, and he just managed to close it this time, but it was really close. Again, if you swapped out some people, swapped out some judges, you could clearly make an argument for Nick winning. So definitely so excited for what the Olympia is gonna bring. Yes, this was pretty controversial, but this makes it fun. It makes it enjoyable because we don't know what's gonna happen. The four-way battle. If we just knew who was gonna win, then that was gonna suck. And you know what? I went into this thinking Derek would win by a landslide, but he really didn't. It was so close. I would say even closer than the Arnold or the Olympia. This was literally, he won by a hair. Literally a tie. So that's all I got. Nick Walker, congratulations, and Derek Lunsford, you guys are both amazing. Can't wait to see what you both bring to the Olympia this year. And if you guys have enjoyed, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you're new here, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.